My wife mocked me in front of her friends. I support him. He does nothing all day. Everyone laughed. I smiled too. But her face changed completely when she found out that well, at least someone at this table works, said Raquel with a frozen smile, swirling the wine in her glass as if she had just made an innocent joke. The laughs that followed were quick, sharp, uncomfortable. The friends looked at each other, assessing if they could laugh too. One of the husbands, the one in the light suit and loud voice, let out a forced laugh and added, God, you are so lucky, Claudio. You should teach classes on how to be a kept man with style. In that instant, the air became thicker than the red wine that filled the glasses. I swallowed. The words stuck in my throat. My cheeks were burning, not from embarrassment, but from what they meant, because it was not the first time Raquel had said something like that. But it was the first time she had said it like that in front of everyone. And there I was, in the middle of a terrace facing the sea, with the sky clouding over, becoming the joke of the night. This trip was supposed to be a gift, a celebration, a way to reconnect, but not even one dinner had passed, and I had already become the entertainment. I took a deep breath. I arranged the napkin on my lap as if I still had control. I smiled. That restrained smile one trains over the years, not to show weakness. Excuse me. Can you excuse me for a second? I said, getting up slowly. No one tried to stop me. No one said anything, not even Raquel. She simply leaned towards her friend on the right and let out another sharp laugh as if nothing had happened. I walked to the edge of the balcony. The sea roared below, dark. I leaned on the railing, turning my back to the laughter, as if the ocean could wash my face without needing to touch it. It was not the first time she had done this to me. It had all started with small comments. Oh, Claudio and his artworks. Claudio and his romantic ideas. Claudio and his experiments that do not pay the bills. But over time, the phrases sharpened. They became needles. Now they were thrown like someone uncorking a bottle and letting the gas explode. I then remembered an almost identical scene. It was at her company's end-of-year party 2 years ago. I had been talking with a small group, telling them how I dreamed of opening a small art gallery. Something of my own, without bosses or schedules, just space to create. She interrupted me. A gallery? Oh, Claudio, who is going to pay for your little drawings? You better use that money to buy yourself a suit, so at least you look like someone serious. The laughter pierced me like needles. I remember standing still with the glass in my hand, wishing I could shrink until I disappeared. And still, that night I said nothing, like so many times. I just drove home in silence while Raquel hummed songs from the passenger seat as if nothing had happened. But this time something was different. I did not feel rage, not yet. I felt something worse, clarity. And in that instant, as the sea breeze brushed my face, I remembered what I had kept hidden at the bottom of my backpack. The payment receipts for every room on that trip, in my name, signed and sealed, including Raquel's, including her friends, all paid for by the kept man. I smiled to myself for the first time in a long time. My silence was not submission, it was premeditation. I heard the bungalow door open shortly after 1 in the morning. Quiet steps on the wooden floor. The faint jingle of her bracelets, as if she were still wearing her laughter. I imagined her entering with that mix of confidence and lightness that only she mastered, looking around for any sign of drama, any reproach, maybe a phrase like, "Oh, Claudio, are you going to stay quiet all night over a joke? Come on, you know how I am." I had heard it so many times I could complete her lines effortlessly, but that night there would be no discussion, no pleas or explanations, only silence. And what silence could do when one had already decided never to fill it again. I was sitting at the small dining table with my laptop open and a black notebook in which I had been writing for weeks. When she saw me, her smile faded. Her right eyebrow arched as it did whenever something did not go as she expected. "What are you doing awake?" she asked in a neutral tone. I looked up. I kept my face calm. "Writing." She came a little closer without taking off her jacket. "Writing what?" I closed the notebook carefully, without rushing. "A list," I said. "A list of what?" "Of everything you have said to me when you thought no one else was listening." She pursed her lips as if she did not know whether to laugh or be uncomfortable. "Oh, please, Claudio, are you really doing this now? It was just a joke." "Yes," I replied as I opened a folder on the computer and turned the screen towards her. "Listen to this." I played a video. Voices, glasses, laughter could be heard. Then her voice. Well, at least someone at this table works. The comment, the laugh from the guy in the light suit, the canned laughter of her friends, and my frozen face, hiding my feelings. Raquel took half a step back, looked at the screen, and then at me. Who recorded that? It was passed to Tomas, the receptionist. He sent it to me this afternoon. He said he found it strange how they were laughing at me and thought I might want to have it. I saw something break behind her eyes. Raquel was an expert in public relations. She knew when to smile, when to feign modesty, when to praise others just to make herself look better. But that video, that real moment, stripped away the varnish. Claudio, that is not what it looks like, she said, crossing her arms. Everyone was laughing. It was an inside joke. Yes, of course. A joke where only one person does not laugh. She swallowed, came closer again, and lowered her voice. Delete that. I tilted my head to one side. Why? Was it not funny? You do not know the damage that can do to me, she replied. Her tone was no longer haughty, just uneasy. The damage to you. I looked her in the eyes without raising my voice. And the damage you did to me, Raquel? How many more times do you think I can stand you ridiculing me in front of others? How many more times do I have to justify not working in an office to be a worthy person? She pressed her lips together, turned to the side as if looking for an escape route. Then she looked at me harshly. You are being exaggerated. I took the payment receipts out of my backpack for envelopes, one for each couple. I put them on the table. This is also an exaggeration, is it not? She looked at them. She recognized her name, her friends' names. She recognized the resort's letterhead, the date, the stamp, the total amount. Her expression changed. You paid for all this. Yes, from an account you do not have access to, because if you had known, you probably would not have felt so free to call me a kept man. She stood motionless. I do not understand why. Because I could, and because I wanted to see if it was worth it. Worth what? I took a few seconds. Worth staying. And in that moment, something in her broke. She did not scream. She did not cry. She did not apologize. She just sat down. For the first time in years, she did not have a ready answer because she understood that this time I was not angry, I was awake. Raquel crossed her arms, exhaling forcefully. Okay, you are hurt. I get it. So what? Are you going to use these payments as some kind of eternal punishment now? I already told you I am sorry. You have not actually said it yet. I replied without raising my voice. She rolled her eyes. Please, Claudio. Fine, I am sorry. I should not have done it. We can move on. And there it was. As always. It was not remorse, it was annoyance, vexation, because this time I had not done what she expected, because I had dared to have a reaction she could not control. Move on. I repeated her words calmly, savoring them. Raquel relaxed her posture a bit, believing that phrase had been enough. That is all I ask, that we do not make a storm out of this. Oh no, I corrected her. I meant that I am going to move on. Not us. She lifted her head abruptly. What? I spoke with a lawyer today, I said, letting the words hang between us. She blinked several times, as if I were speaking another language. No, you cannot be serious. I took the phone out of my pocket, unlocked it, and showed her the screen. A list of emails with the title, Initial Documentation for Dissolution of Union. Very serious, I confirmed. She laughed, but that laugh was not hers anymore. It did not sound loud or confident. It sounded hollow, fragile. You are not going to destroy our marriage over something stupid, Claudio. Our marriage, I arched an eyebrow. The one where you ridicule me at every gathering. The one you sustain with sarcasm and superiority. That one is already destroyed. I am just stopping pretending it is still whole. Raquel brought a hand to her face. Then she started pacing the dining room back and forth. What do you want? She spat at me. Do you want me to kneel? Do you want me to apologize like a little girl? I do not want anything from you, Raquel, I replied without moving from my chair. That is precisely the point. She laughed again, a laugh without strength. You are delusional. This is not going to happen. I smiled. Not with joy, with certainty. It is already happening. I stood up slowly, without rushing. I grabbed my bag from the back of the chair, took a step, and just before leaving the cabin, I turned. Oh, and Raquel, think twice before telling this to your friends as if it were another fun piece of gossip. You never know who else saw the video. I did not wait for her answer. For the first time in years, I did not need to hear it. I walked to the beach. The sand was cold under my feet. The sky, clear. I sat on a large rock, looking at the sea. The breeze brushed my face. And although my heart was still beating fast, although my skin still carried the sting of humiliation, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Direction. Raquel did not come out after me. Not right away. It was not her style. She played the long game. She waited for the other person to break first. Her strategy was to exhaust, to wear down with guilt or feigned tenderness. But this time she would be left waiting. That night I did not sleep much. Not because I doubted, not because I feared what was coming, but because I finally understood that there was no turning back, that I did not need any more excuses or empty promises. The next morning, when I entered the kitchen, Raquel was already there, leaning on the counter with a cup of coffee. She looked at me in silence. She was expecting something, a gesture, a sign that I was willing to negotiate. I gave her nothing. Finally, she was the one who spoke. You had your moment. Do you feel better? I took a deep breath. I kept my voice even. It was not a moment, Raquel. Of course, she said with a fake laugh. Are you still going on about the divorce? I did not answer. I went to the coffee maker and poured myself just enough. She hated being ignored. Her tone changed. Come on, Claudio. We have been together for 14 years. Are you really going to throw all that away over one night? I turned with the cup in my hand, my face serene. I am not throwing anything away. I am just admitting what you have been destroying for years. I looked at her intently. For the first time, I saw something in her that was not anger or sarcasm. I saw fear. It was fleeting, a flash, but I saw it. You are exaggerating, she said, now with a harsher tone. Do you really think anyone cares about that video? Everyone laughed. No one takes it seriously but you. I leaned against the counter, tilting my head. Are you sure? I took out my phone, searched quickly, and showed her a new screen. What is that? She checked the messages. It was the friends' private group, the same one where they always shared memes, travel photos, and subtle jokes about other couples. But this time the comments were not what she expected. She went too far. Poor Claudio. I would have died if my husband did that to me. Is everything okay with you too? That was not funny. It was cruel. Raquel read them quickly. Her expression tensed. She slammed the phone shut as if it were burning. Why are you showing me that? Because it seems not everyone laughed with you. Some laughed at you. Others are directly judging you. Her fists clenched, her jaw too. Raquel valued her image more than anything else. Social respect was her armor, and now it was cracking. That is enough, she said through gritted teeth. You made your move. You exposed me. Bravo. Now delete the damn video, Claudio. I took a long sip of coffee. I let the silence stretch before answering. No. What do you mean, no? I am not going to delete it, and I am not going to stay with you either. She laughed nervously. Do you think you are going to win? That you are going to ruin me? Do you not know who you are dealing with? You want a war? Perfect, but I am not going to let you take everything. There she was. Not the smiling Raquel, not the charming Raquel, the other one. The one who used emotions like knives. I built this life too, she continued, approaching with a firm step. Do you think you are just going to walk away like that? Think again. I looked at her without blinking. You are right, Raquel. You built this life, and I hope you enjoy it because when it ends, it will be the only thing you have left. She frowned, took a step back. What do you mean? I left the cup, took my bag, walked towards the door. Just before leaving, I stopped. Oh, and take a good look at your bank account. I closed the door behind me without looking back. For the first time in years, my departure was not an escape, it was a choice. The first sign that Raquel was starting to crumble came about 2 hours after I left. I was at a coffee shop near the beach, having a cappuccino with my phone silent on the table. It vibrated 3 times. I did not have to look to know who it was. What did you do, Claudio? I waited. I took a calm sip before unlocking it. Answer right now. I left the phone face down and smiled. I was not going to answer. Not yet. Let her wallow in anxiety for a while. I already knew what she was discovering. Days before that trip, when I began to suspect there was no turning back, I transferred half the money from our joint account to a private account in my name. All legal. We had built that account together, but I had also contributed much more than she thought. While she boasted about supporting me, she never found out that I had financed more than one of her vacations and whims just to keep the peace. I set aside part of the money to fulfill something I had buried long ago, to travel along the Chilean coast with my camera. Alone, with no watch, no permissions, No explanations. It was a dream that Raquel had always despised. Spending thousands to see rocks and water. What are you going to do? Meditate with seagulls? For years she convinced me it was ridiculous, but that week, when I moved the funds, I promised myself I would do it and that this time I would not ask anyone for permission. I had also disconnected myself from her credit card and frozen the joint account. Now, if she wanted money, she would have to manage her own chaos. And that was a problem. Raquel never knew how to manage her finances. She had a high salary, but a more expensive life. Everything she earned, she spent. She lived for the glitter. Now, without a safety net, she would have to learn how to fall. I looked at my phone again. Claudio, you took money that is not just yours. This is crazy. Fix this now. I exhaled slowly. I settled better in my seat. Justice does not always shout. Sometimes it just stops asking for permission. But the real blow did not come from the bank. It came from where it hurt her the most. Her image. That afternoon, my friend Natalia, one of the few people who knew everything, sent me an audio message with a voice between surprised and excited. Claudio, open LinkedIn. You have to see this. I entered the private professional group where Raquel used to show off with polished posts and motivational phrases. There, her boss had uploaded a post. No names, of course, but for anyone who had been at the dinner, it was obvious. A leader who humiliates their partner in public shows who they are in private. Respect is not negotiable. There are lines that are not crossed. The comments started to erupt like lava. This broke my soul. Whoever laughs while destroying another does not lead, they crush. We need to be careful how we treat those who put up with the most from us. Many knew who he was referring to. Raquel had built her career on charisma, wit, and social grace. She was not the brightest, but she was liked, trustworthy. At least she was until the mask broke. The phone vibrated again. Raquel. I let it go to voicemail. I put on my headphones and listened. Claudio, for God's sake, what did you do? My boss is not answering me. The people in the group are deleting me. They are seeing me as an abuser because of one sentence. This is not fair. Pause. Then her voice dropped, softened, almost trembling. Love, you know I did not mean it. It was a dinner, a joke. I swear it was something silly. I did not want to hurt you. Please, talk to me. I knew that change. I had heard it so many times. From fury to pleading, from arrogance to pity. It was her way of taking a breath to attack again. But this time I was not going to let that happen. At 9:17 p.m., I got another, shorter message. Just you and me, no fighting. Let's talk. I waited a few seconds before replying. At home. In 40 minutes. When I arrived, Raquel was already there. She was pacing the living room with short steps, as if practicing a script. As soon as I entered, she turned with a tense voice. Okay, let's talk like adults, like what we are. I closed the door calmly. I crossed my arms. Go ahead. I was an idiot. I admit it, she said without beating around the bush. She sat down and ran a hand through her hair, nervous. I do not know, I was in joke mode. I wanted to be funny, but it was not to humiliate you. You know I am not like that. Yes, you are, Raquel. It is just that this time someone else recorded it. Her face hardened for a second. That is enough. It was one night, one single poorly chosen phrase. Are you really going to throw everything away for that? I sighed with pain, but also with decision. I am not throwing it away, I am just getting out of the trash. Her face contorted. As simple as that, as clear as that. For a moment she seemed lost, as if she could not place me within the Claudio she knew. And what am I supposed to do now? I shrugged. I do not know. I guess now you can tell your friends what life is like without the useless man you supported. Her expression changed again. She was no longer hurt. She was hurt and cornered. She could not stand it. You are going to regret this, she told me. Not as a threat, as a desperate sentence. I smiled faintly. No, Raquel, you are the one who is going to regret it. I took the keys from the table, turned around, and started walking towards the door. Before leaving, without looking at her, I said, oh, and check your email. And I left. I closed the door without rushing. I did not know exactly where I was going that night, but I did know where I was never going back. Raquel was not prepared for what was coming. I can imagine her that morning, opening her email between sips of coffee, reading and rereading, running to her computer, typing frantically, as if she could stop the inevitable. But she could not, because it was real. When I arrived at my new apartment, one that I had discreetly rented 3 weeks earlier when I started planning my exit. My cell phone would not stop vibrating. Calls, messages. Raquel, Raquel, Raquel. I let it ring. I poured myself a glass of wine, calmly. I opened the windows to let the breeze in and sat on the new couch. I listened to the first voicemail. Claudio, you are completely crazy. What did you do? My job. You ruined my reputation. I took a slow sip, feeling the wine go down without haste, warm, in peace. The email was not for her. It was for her company's human resources department. With the video attached, I did not need to justify much. I just wrote, I am writing to you to report a prolonged pattern of emotional and verbal abuse by Raquel Ochoa, an active employee of your company. The attached video is just one example of her public behavior. I consider it relevant that the company, which boasts values of respect and integrity, is aware of these behaviors. Raquel's company sold itself as a champion of empathetic leadership, emotional responsibility, diversity. They boasted of having zero tolerance for any type of abuse. Now they had clear evidence. The cell phone rang again. This time I answered. Claudio. Her voice sounded thin. There was no trace of the woman who ridiculed me with aplomb. I was silent for a few seconds. I let the emptiness speak first. It was you. You sent that email. Do you know what you did? Of course I know, I replied in a calm voice. I showed you who you really are. Claudio. It is my career. I leaned back on the couch without rushing. Oh, now you care, because when you left me hanging in front of everyone, calling me a kept man, while you were laughing as if it were a stand-up comedy show, you did not seem so concerned. That was different. No, I interrupted her. It was not different. It was just the first time someone else saw it. I heard her breathing fast, ragged. We can fix this. Tell them it was a misunderstanding, that it was a joke between us. Claudio, please, do not ruin everything. I am not ruining it. Raquel, I said softly. I am exposing it. Silence. A trembling whisper. Are you really going to do this? I already did. The bombshell was immediate. The next day, I found out from a former colleague of hers that she was summoned to an urgent disciplinary meeting. That afternoon, temporarily suspended, by the end of the week, fired. She tried to argue that it was a private matter, that I was exaggerating, that it was personal revenge, but the video spoke louder than her excuses, her gestures, her tone, her laughter. It was all there, raw, undeniable. And it was not just her job, it was everything. Her image, her network, her aura of respectability collapsed. Colleagues distanced themselves, clients stopped answering her. Some friends from the group no longer included her in their plans. The blow was deeper than she imagined, because it was not just that dinner, it was what she had been doing for years. Only now everyone saw it. A week later she knocked on my apartment door. I almost did not open it, but there was something in me that needed to see her one last time. Not for her, for me. When I opened it, I almost did not recognize her. Wrinkled clothes, hair tied up hastily, swollen eyes. Claudio, she said with a choked voice. Can we talk? I watched her in silence for a long time. Then I said, talk like before. You talk, I listen, and then we pretend everything is fine. She looked down. I know I messed up, but this is too much. I never thought you would go this far. Too much, I repeated, tilting my head. Like leaving me without dignity in front of everyone. Like making fun of me while your friends nodded. She swallowed. Her voice broke. I just need a little time. I need you to help me. I held back a laugh, not out of mockery, but out of irony, because life has a way of turning things around, and sometimes it leaves you in the exact place you never thought you would be. You always needed my help, Raquel. You just never wanted to admit it. She shook her head, pressing her lips together. I thought you would always be there. I took a deep breath. Yes, I thought so too. And I closed the door without any need for drama, without looking back. The click of the lock sounded like a final period, but for me, it was just a new paragraph. I leaned against the door. I let the silence embrace me completely. There was no manipulation, no sarcasm, just emptiness. And within that emptiness, finally, freedom. I did not need to spy on her to know what happened next. The rumors spread. No one wanted to work with her. The one who used to talk about empowerment, sisterhood, emotional well-being, was now a symbol of the opposite. She did not get another position in her field. Tainted, still, without charm, without a network. Her friends stopped answering her. Some even apologized to me in private. Raquel tried to fight the divorce, but with everything I had recorded, the videos, the messages, the audios, the receipts, her lawyer could barely negotiate. She ended up losing the apartment, part of the assets, and the entire narrative she had built. A month later, my friend Elias wrote to me. I saw her in a bar, alone. She looked small, as if she did not know where she was standing. I did not reply. I did not need to. My life, on the other hand, began to flourish. The apartment I had rented no longer felt temporary. I filled it with plants, with my own paintings, with warm light. For the first time, it was my space, my refuge. My business expanded without Raquel's voice saying it was a waste of time, without having to justify every project. I began to surround myself with people who believed in me, who listened to me, who valued me. And the best part is that I also began to value myself. One day, months later, I saw her again. It was at a gallery. She was alone, standing near the entrance, in a gray dress that was once elegant, her eyes dull, her posture shrunken. She saw me. She recognized me. But she did not approach because she could not anymore. I smiled, greeted someone else, and kept walking. That night, when I got home, I opened a bottle of wine, poured myself a glass, and sat by the window. This time it was not to forget a humiliation. It was to celebrate, not a revenge, but my freedom. Raquel thought that calling me a kept man in front of everyone was the perfect joke, but she was wrong. It was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of hers, and the true beginning of mine. Update 1. One random Sunday, while having breakfast on my balcony with Made in my hand and a new sketchbook, I received an unexpected email. The sender, Mariana R., a name that sounded familiar, but took me a moment to place. When I opened the message, I almost dropped my mate. Hi, Claudio. I do not know if you remember me. I am Sylvia's younger sister, Raquel's best friend. I was at that dinner on the terrace, although not near your table. I just wanted to tell you that after what happened, I started to question many things. No one dared to say it, but that night many of us saw who you were and who she was. I saw your new works. I bought one without telling you, under another name. You inspired me to leave someone who also humiliated me. Thank you. P.S. If you ever want to have a coffee, my treat. The name in the signature shook me, Martina. Once, at a party, when Raquel went to the bathroom, Martina had said to me in a low voice, if you ever want to talk to someone who will listen without laughing at you, let me know. I thought it was just politeness. Maybe it was not. I saved the message. I did not reply yet, but I reread it 3 times that day. Update 2. I was exhibiting at an art fair in Valparaiso when a man in a gray suit, with a trimmed beard and a serious expression, approached me. He said his name was Andres Romero, manager of a sustainable design company that wanted to buy 5 of my large works for their new office. As he explained the project, his tone changed. Excuse me for saying this, but you are the Claudio from the video. The one, well, from the Raquel case. I tensed up, but nodded. Andres smiled respectfully. I thought you had disappeared, but I see you have not. Quite the contrary. Many of us saw that video, you know. Some laughed, others were uncomfortable. I felt challenged. He took a step closer and lowered his voice. My brother was the same with his partner. I never dared to say anything to him, but you made me think, and, after seeing your story, I spoke to him. I confronted him. He changed. He went to therapy. Today he is rebuilding everything with his children. I was silent, speechless. Andres gave me his card, and before he left, he told me, not everyone who tells their story does it for revenge. Some, like you, do it to free others. That night when I went to bed, I could not sleep, not from anxiety, but from gratitude, because for the first time I understood something profound. Sometimes your most private pain can become the key to freedom for others, and that is worth more than any revenge. Have you ever been made to feel invisible in your own relationship? Did you stay? Did you leave? Did you regret it? And if you like stories of transformation and emotional justice, subscribe to the channel. Here we tell what others keep silent.